Are you struggling with AWS Firehose records and wondering how to automatically append new lines? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into a common issue that many users face when working with Kinesis Analytics and Firehose. I totally get it. It can be incredibly frustrating when your data isn't formatted the way you need it, especially when you're trying to work with Hive and JSON Serde. You're definitely not the only one who has run into this problem. Let's break down the situation. One user reached out with a specific question: can I automatically append new lines to AWS Firehose records? They explained that their input stream is a Kinesis Firehose taking stringified JSON values, and they need each JSON record to be on its own line for Hive to process it correctly. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what's the issue here? The Firehose output is appending all JSON records together, which breaks the expected format for JSON Serde. This can lead to headaches when trying to import data later. Let's see how we can tackle this problem. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a potential solution that could save you time and resources. To address the user's concern about appending new lines to AWS Firehose records, we will first explore the SQL capabilities of Kinesis Analytics. Unfortunately, the SQL syntax does not support direct string manipulation to append new lines. Next, the user can consider using a Lambda function as a data formatter. While this may seem expensive, it is a common approach to modify records before they are sent to the output stream. Alternatively, the user could implement a custom solution using an AWS Lambda function that processes the records. This function can read the incoming records, append a new line to each, and then send them to the output Firehose. Lastly, if the user prefers to avoid Lambda, they might consider pre-processing the data before it enters the Kinesis Firehose. This could involve using a different service or tool to ensure each JSON record is on its own line. Fun fact: did you know that AWS Lambda can run code in response to events? It's like having a personal assistant that only works when you need it. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution comes from a user who faced a similar issue. They suggest using API Gateway to invoke Kinesis Firehose. By specifying a command in the body mapping templates, you can automatically add new lines to the records. This method works effectively for adding new lines to the Kinesis Firehose records, making it a viable option if you want to avoid using AWS Lambda. Let's check out another perspective from a different user. An alternative solution involves using AWS Lambda to append new lines to each record in your Kinesis Firehose stream. The user created a Lambda function that processes incoming records, decodes them, adds a new line, and then re-encodes them before sending them to S3. The user also mentions that this approach can be implemented directly in the Lambda function, rather than using a separate Lambda for transformation. This method keeps the process cleaner and more efficient. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative solution has been shared by another user. They mentioned that AWS has recently introduced dynamic partitioning for Kinesis Firehose delivery streams. This feature allows you to automatically add a new line character to each record, which addresses the issue of JSON records needing to be on separate lines for processing. That's the end of that answer. Let's see another perspective. An alternative solution provided by another user involves using JavaScript to append new lines before sending records to Kinesis stream. They implemented this by parsing the payload, adding a new line character, and then sending the modified data to Kinesis. Here's a thought. If you want to avoid the Lambda route, consider pre-processing your data before it hits Firehose. This could save you both time and costs in the long run. And there you have it. While appending new lines directly in Kinesis Analytics might not be straightforward, there are alternatives to explore. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks on AWS and data processing.